Jeff Bezos, one of the richest people in the world, is known for his extraordinary wealth and success. However, in this story, we will see a very different side of him. Jeff decided to conduct an experiment, one that would take him far away from his usual image as a billionaire and entrepreneur. His goal was simple: to test how people's prejudices about status and appearance influence their behavior. It was a chilly morning when Jeff, dressed in an old, faded baseball cap, a wrinkled shirt, and a pair of stained jeans, set out for the day. He had even put on a fake, scruffy beard to complete the look. Strapped to his back was a weathered backpack. He was prepared for his undercover experiment. Jeff found a spot at a bustling corner on a busy shopping street where he set up a small stand. The stand was humble, filled with handmade trinkets, second-hand books, and a few random objects, nothing flashy or impressive. At first, things were slow. People passed by, barely glancing at the stand, their eyes flicking past him as if he didn't even exist. The first person to stop was a young woman, probably in her late 20s, with a determined look on her face. She picked up a book, flipped through its pages, and then, with an almost disdainful look, asked, "How much is this?" Jeff casually offered a price that seemed reasonable to him, but she recoiled, giving a slight grimace. "This is just some cheap paperback. Why would I pay this much for it?" she said, shaking her head in disbelief before turning and walking away. Jeff remained calm, thanking her for her time and letting her leave without any hard feelings. Though it stung, he knew it was all part of the experiment. He was here to observe, to understand the assumptions people made based on outward appearances. As the morning wore on, things didn't improve much. People came and went, giving his stand only cursory glances. A middle-aged man in a plaid shirt and rugged jeans came up next. He was more curious than the others, taking his time to inspect a few of the handmade items carefully. After a moment, he picked up a wooden pencil holder. "Did you make this yourself?" he asked, running his fingers over the smooth surface of the wood. "Yes," Jeff replied with a nod, smiling at the genuine curiosity in the man's voice. The man didn't seem to hesitate. Without bargaining or questioning the price, he handed over the cash and smiled. "This is great. I've always appreciated handmade items. There's real value in the work," he said, before walking away with the pencil holder in hand. Jeff felt a small wave of relief wash over him. The kindness of the man reminded him that there were still people out there who saw value in things beyond appearances. But as the day wore on, Jeff experienced more than his fair share of dismissive attitudes. A couple of women walked by, eyeing the stand with contempt. "Who would buy this junk?" one of them muttered, while the other added, "It's all overpriced garbage." Jeff just smiled politely, never letting the negativity affect him. He wasn't in this to sell anything. He was in it to understand how people viewed him, how they reacted to his unkempt appearance. Later in the afternoon, a group of teenagers strolled over. They seemed intrigued by the old books, and one of them picked up a well-worn copy of a classic novel. "How do you do this? How do you run a stand like this?" the teenager asked, glancing around. Jeff didn't immediately answer with his usual business talk. Instead, he simply said, "The most important thing in life is to provide something meaningful to others. It doesn't matter what you're selling. It's about making a connection." The teenagers seemed to appreciate his words, nodding and smiling as they left. They didn't buy anything, but their kindness left Jeff feeling hopeful. Not everyone was dismissive. Not everyone judged based on appearances. It was then that something unexpected happened. A young boy, no older than 5 or 6, approached the stand with wide eyes, fascinated by a collection of colorful toy figures on one of the shelves. His mother, however, wasn't as enamored with the makeshift market. "Come on, sweetie, let's go," she said, tugging him away. You don't want anything from this place. It's probably all broken or cheap. It's not safe." The boy hesitated, looking back at the toys longingly, but his mother was insistent. Jeff watched them go, and a deep sadness settled over him. He realized that this encounter reflected something much larger, how deeply ingrained prejudices could be in certain parts of society. The assumption that someone was beneath notice based solely on their appearance was a harsh reality. By late afternoon, the street had become more crowded, and Jeff was starting to feel the exhaustion of the day weighing on him. But just as he was beginning to pack up, an elderly woman with a cane approached. Her slow, deliberate steps made it clear that she wasn't in any rush. She smiled at Jeff, her wrinkled face softening as she looked at the rows of second-hand books on his stand. "These look like old friends," she said, her eyes twinkling. Jeff smiled back and suggested a few titles, explaining briefly about each book's unique history and charm. After some browsing, the woman picked out a book and handed Jeff the money. "You really love doing this, don't you?" she asked, her voice full of warmth. Jeff nodded, feeling a sense of connection. "Yes, I do. There's something special about creating bonds with people, even if it's just for a few minutes," he replied. She smiled knowingly. "You're doing good work. People like you make the world a little brighter," she said, giving him a reassuring nod before she slowly made her way down the street, her cane tapping softly on the pavement. As the day came to a close, Jeff began to clean up his stand and pack away the remaining items. The experiment had proven to be much more revealing than he'd anticipated. It wasn't about how much he'd sold, it was about how people had treated him, based purely on his appearance. Jeff realized that people's behavior was often a direct reflection of how they perceived others based on their status or lack thereof. But throughout the day, there had been moments, small yet significant, where kindness and understanding had broken through the surface. The next day, Jeff invited the man who had bought the wooden pencil holder, as well as a few other polite customers, to his office. He revealed his true identity and thanked them for treating him with kindness and respect, no matter his outward appearance. To the young man, he offered a chance to join one of Amazon's entrepreneurial programs, hoping to inspire the next generation of business leaders. To the elderly woman, Jeff sent a gift certificate to help her replenish her collection of books. These small gestures were his way of giving back, a reflection of the gratitude he felt for the kindness he had witnessed. The experiment had taught him something important, that true worth is not measured by how someone looks or what they have, but by their actions and the kindness they extend to others. This story serves as a reminder to all of us. It's easy to make judgments based on appearances, but in the end, what truly matters is how we treat one another. Kindness can change a person's life, just as it had changed Jeff Bezos' perspective on life. See you in the next story. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like and share the video with your friends.